Officials at Yellowstone National Park are investigating a terrifying incident where a man and his son got tossed by a wild bison. Officials say they got too close to a male bison on Monday and it charged at them. Video shows the man grabbing the boy before he was gored. And
since the dawn of time, horns have been more than mere tools of defense. They've been symbols of power, rage, and death. In the wild, they are nature's crown and its curse, worn by creatures not just to survive, but to dominate, to destroy, and to conquer their rivals in brutal contests written in blood. These aren't gentle grazers. These are the beasts that turn bone into weapons, that charge with the fury of ancient warlords and leave shattered remains in their wake. From the shadowed savanna to the unforgiving mountains, they rule not by stealth or poison, but by force, by impact, and by an unstoppable will to fight. This isn't a fairy tale. This is nature at its most primal. Brace yourself, because you're about to meet the most deadly horned animals on the planet, and not all of them walk away from battle. In the vast arid plains of Central Asia, where the wind howls across endless grasslands and the sun bakes the earth beneath a relentless sky, the Saiga antelope roams, a creature with a face as strange as its survival story. Its bulbous, almost comical nose, which seems more suited to a cartoon character than a real-life warrior, masks a lethal edge honed by centuries of adaptation. Weighing around 100 pounds and standing a mere 30 inches tall, this unassuming creature might appear vulnerable to the casual observer, but beneath its quirky appearance lies an animal that is anything but harmless. In the wilds of the Eurasian steppes, survival is a constant battle. The Saiga's most remarkable weapon, however, is not its nose, designed to filter out dust and warm the cold, dry air it breathes. It's its ability to run. Swift and nimble, the Saiga can sprint at speeds of up to 50 miles per hour, an agility that allows it to escape the jaws of predators like wolves, foxes, and even the elusive golden eagles that hunt from above. But it's not just its speed that makes it so difficult to catch. It's the way it moves. The Saiga is a master of evasion, capable of weaving through obstacles and changing direction in a blink, outsmarting even the fastest predators. Yet it is in the rut, those fleeting weeks of the mating season, that the Saiga becomes a fierce, horned gladiator. Male Saigas, driven by an instinctual urge to win the right to mate, engage in brutal duels that are anything but playful. Their horns, slender and curved like the sickle of death, become instruments of destruction. With bone-crushing force, they lock into combat, each blow a desperate bid for supremacy. These battles, fierce and unforgiving, can leave the weaker antelope with broken bones or gaping wounds, their fight for dominance often ending in death. But it is this primal struggle that ensures only the strongest bloodlines continue. And nature's brutal selection process is laid bare. The Saiga's horns, despite their graceful appearance, can gore rivals with shocking precision. And during the rut, the antelopes don't hold back. Yet, outside the breeding season, the once deadly antelope becomes vulnerable. Larger predators, wolves, foxes, and the ever-watchful eagle, take advantage of this weakness, knowing that the Saiga's horns offer little defense against an attack from above or the speed of a pack. But despite its occasional fragility, the Saiga antelope survives because of its incredible adaptability. In a land where temperatures swing from searing heat to freezing cold, and predators are relentless, the Saiga has mastered the art of evasion and survival. It is a creature that exists on the edge, caught between grace and brutality, a symbol of resilience in an unforgiving world. With its powerful legs, sharp instincts, and horned warriors fighting for supremacy, the Saiga antelope embodies the essence of survival. And though it may not appear as fearsome as the larger predators that roam the plains, in the heart of battle, the Saiga is anything but ordinary. High in the rugged mountains of Central Asia, where the peaks scrape against the heavens and the air is thin, there exists a creature so fiercely adapted to its environment that it seems almost mythical. The Maror, a wild goat with horns that spiral like ancient, twisted blades, commands a presence in these remote reaches. Standing at about 30 inches tall and weighing between 100 and 250 pounds, the Maror is a survivor of the harshest conditions on Earth. Its large muscular body, covered in thick fur to withstand freezing temperatures, is perfectly designed for the steep, craggy terrain it calls home. These mountain peaks, which appear to be impassable to most, are the domain of this agile and lethal creature. Maror's most striking feature is its horns, which can grow up to 5 feet in length, twisting in a dramatic spiral that gives the impression of a weapon honed by nature's hand. Though they may look elegant, these horns serve as instruments of death. During the mating season, males engage in brutal head-to-head battles, charging at each other with terrifying force. The sound of their horns clashing echoes through the mountains as each male attempts to establish dominance, using their spirals to wound and drive away rivals. These duels are not for the faint-hearted, and the consequences can be dire. Victorious males often leave their opponents bloodied and broken, their horns shattered, or their ribs cracked by the force of the collision. But the Maror's deadliest quality isn't just its strength in combat, it's its incredible ability to survive. The mountains, though breathtaking, are perilous, with steep cliffs and treacherous rocky ledges. The Maror has evolved to be a master of vertical movement, able to leap, climb, and navigate these harsh environments with ease. Even though predators like leopards, wolves, and even bears will stalk the Maror's every step, its agility allows it to evade capture, leaping from ledge to ledge with terrifying speed, leaving predators stranded below, their efforts in vain. Its ability to scale the nearly sheer surfaces of its mountainous home, where even the most skilled climbers would falter, makes it one of the hardest animals to hunt. The Maror feeds primarily on grasses, shrubs, and herbs, but it also seeks out salt licks in the higher reaches, using its keen sense of smell to locate these crucial resources. This diet provides it with the necessary strength to scale the vertical cliffs and survive the brutal winters. But, as is often the case in the harshest corners of the world, it is not always the strongest who survives. Sometimes, it is the most clever. And in the case of the Maror, its intelligence and agility have been its greatest assets, allowing it to outwit hunters and predators alike, making it a creature of both beauty and terrifying might. In these mountain ranges, where the winds howl and the cliffs rise like jagged teeth, the Maror stands as a living legend, untamed, elusive, and deadly. High above the tree line, where the air is thin and the cliffs drop away into yawning abysses, a battle unfolds that has echoed across millennia. It's not between predator and prey, but between titans of the rock, warriors of horn and bone. The bighorn sheep, native to the North American Rockies, is more than a symbol of rugged wilderness. It is a natural-born gladiator, forged by the brutal logic of elevation and dominance. At first glance, they may seem almost serene, grazing on alpine grasses, hooves dancing across vertical cliffs with impossible ease. But don't be fooled by their calm demeanor or woolly coat. When two rams meet during the rutting season, peace dies. The calm is shattered. And then, the mountain thunders. Weighing up to 320 pounds with muscular, compact frames built for violence, the males wield their iconic horns, massive, coiled crescents that can weigh over 30 pounds by themselves. These aren't just horns, they are weapons of attrition, evolved specifically for one purpose: to conquer through concussion. When rivals clash, they rear up on their hind legs and launch their skulls into each other at speeds reaching 20 miles per hour, with a force exceeding 800 pounds of impact. It's the equivalent of two sledgehammers colliding, again and again. These duels can last for hours, with dozens of strikes exchanged. And yet, they don't just survive, they thrive. Their skulls are reinforced with specially evolved bone structures and a spongy layer between brain and horn to absorb the shock. But not all battles end with both walking away. Rams have been found with shattered horns, broken necks, and even fatal internal injuries. The fights are not for food, not for survival, but for the right to mate, the right to pass on their brutal legacy. In this world, the weak do not breed. The mountain itself seems to judge who is worthy, and the bighorn sheep are its executioners. But what makes the bighorn sheep truly dangerous is their fearlessness. On sheer cliffs, with inches of foothold, they'll fight. On ridgelines that would give a hawk vertigo, they'll charge. And if a predator dares to follow, a wolf, a cougar, even a bear, they may find themselves at the wrong end of a horned projectile that's perfectly adapted to knock an enemy clear off the mountainside. And should humans venture too close during rutting season? There are stories, rare but real, of hikers and hunters who became accidental challengers in the bighorn's eyes. The result is never pretty. Broken ribs, punctured lungs, one moment of misread body language, and the sheep becomes the storm. The bighorn sheep is nature's brawler, a creature that doesn't just survive the extremes, it dominates them with thunderous collisions and mountain-born might. It's not the biggest on this list, but in a pound-for-pound test of horned ferocity, few creatures hit harder or fall less often. This is no gentle grazer. This is a living battering ram, a four-legged fist of the highland. In the sheer, jagged cliffs of the Alps, the towering peaks of Central Asia, and the craggy ravines of North Africa, a shadow dances across the rocks. It's not a mountain lion or a prowling predator. It's a master of the vertical world, the Ibex. With its razor-sharp horns and mountain-climbing prowess, this wild goat has earned the title of the undisputed ruler of some of the most treacherous terrain on Earth. Compact yet formidable, the Ibex weighs between 150 to 250 pounds, but it's not its size that commands respect. It's its sheer audacity to live where no other creature dares to tread. Ibexes are built for altitude, with powerful legs and hooves that grip sheer rock faces like they were born to scale them. These animals are more at home on cliffs almost 9,000 feet above sea level than in any pasture or plain. But it's the horns that make the Ibex truly terrifying. Unlike the average goat, these horns aren't for show. They are weapons of war. Males can sport horns up to 40 inches long, twisting like spirals of doom. When males clash, during mating season, the impact is like thunder rolling through the mountains. The sound of horns crashing against one another echoes for miles as the Ibex engage in fierce head-to-head battles. The horns are so strong and thick that these duels can leave both competitors bloodied, but only one leaves the arena as victor. And while Ibex males duke it out, the females are just as tough. They don't shy away from battle. In fact, females, armed with slightly smaller but still formidable horns, will fight off predators like wolves and leopards when their young are threatened. Their agility on cliffs is unmatched, leaping and bounding across rocky faces with an ease that makes the human eye dizzy. It's this ability to move with deadly speed and precision on terrain no predator can match that makes the Ibex not only a survivor, but an avenger. But it's the sheer recklessness of the Ibex's combat style that elevates it to the top tier of dangerous horned animals. When a predator, say a snow leopard or mountain lion, dare challenge one, the Ibex isn't one to flee. With those sharp horns aimed directly at their enemy, it charges with speed and precision, using its rocky environment as a weapon to disorient the attacker before delivering a fatal goring. The Ibex's horns aren't just tools of self-defense. They're deadly surgical instruments that carve into flesh and bone, often leaving their enemies no chance to escape. Even humans have learned to respect the Ibex, especially hunters who trek into its treacherous home ground. Those who underestimate the Ibex quickly discover that its agility on the rocks is as lethal as its horns. Should a hunter get too close, the Ibex can send them tumbling, using its incredible speed and leaping ability to dodge attacks and counter with a deadly blow. The Ibex is the living embodiment of the unforgiving cliffs it calls home, a warrior of the stone, perfectly adapted to its brutal environment. To face it is to understand that the mountain itself will fight back, in the form of twisted horns, incredible speed, and a lethal instinct honed by generations of survival in one of the most dangerous habitats on the planet. In the furnace of the desert, where the sun scorches the earth and mirages dance across the sands, survival is a game of extremes. And ruling this brutal wasteland with unwavering defiance is the African Orex, a creature that looks sculpted from myth, armed with spear-like horns and the spirit of a warrior born from fire and dust. Sleek, muscular, and hauntingly beautiful, the Orex stands at around 4 feet at the shoulder and weighs up to 460 pounds. Its coat is pale as bone, marked with stark black lines across its face and legs, camouflage in the sun-baked terrain. But also a warning. This is no gentle grazer. This is a fighter. And its most fearsome weapon? A pair of razor-sharp straight horns stretching up to 40 inches in length. Twin lances capable of piercing a lion's chest. Unlike other antelope that rely on speed to flee, the oryx turns to face its enemies. Whether it's a stalking lion, a hungry hyena, or a pack of painted wolves, the oryx plants its hooves in the sand and lowers its head, horns aimed like twin sabers. It doesn't bluff. It doesn't hesitate. It strikes with terrifying precision, often driving its horns deep into its attacker, killing or maiming them in seconds. Lions have been gored through the mouth, impaled in the ribs, and left bleeding in the dust. Predators have learned to approach with caution, or not at all. In fact, the African oryx is one of the only antelope with a kill count of top-tier predators. And it's not just defense, it's retaliation. A wounded oryx fights back harder, fiercer, and often with a terrifying will to kill, not just escape. But the oryx's deadliness doesn't end in the wild. In captivity, when cornered or threatened, oryx have been known to impale zookeepers, tourists, even armed hunters. Its horns are so lethal that some African tribes once mimicked them in battle. And even medieval myths are believed to have drawn inspiration from the oryx. Stories of one-horned desert beasts that impaled men like a living unicorn from hell. And yet, despite its elegance, the oryx thrives in one of the harshest climates on Earth. It can go weeks without drinking, cooling its brain through specialized blood flow and drawing moisture from the vegetation it eats. It is not only dangerous, but damn near indestructible. It doesn't run from fire. It lives in it. The African oryx is the warrior of the dunes, the phantom of the desert, and the reason even apex predators second-guess their hunger. It doesn't just survive the desert, it owns it. Horns forward, eyes burning with fury, and a kill list written in blood across the sand. In the frozen abyss of the Arctic tundra, where wind screams across a white wasteland and temperatures plunge far below zero, survival isn't about speed or stealth. It's about raw, unbreakable force. Enter the muskox, a prehistoric juggernaut wrapped in wool and built like a living battering ram. This isn't just an animal. It's a fortress on 4 legs. Standing up to 5 feet tall at the shoulder and weighing over 900 pounds, the muskox may look like a shaggy relic of the Ice Age, but beneath that thick coat lies a skull as solid as stone, backed by 2 horns that curve down and then up like brutal ice-forged blades. These horns aren't for show. They're for war. When wolves or bears descend upon a herd, the muskox doesn't flee. It doesn't scatter in panic like other grazers. It forms a living shield wall. Adults circle the young, horns out, eyes locked on the predator. And if the attacker comes too close, one of them charges. Full force, head down. And when that happens, bones break. The muskox's skull is designed to take and deliver punishment. In clashes between rival males, they run at each other at 30 miles per hour, colliding with thunderous force that echoes across the tundra like distant artillery fire. The impact is so violent, it could kill a human instantly. And yet these creatures do it over and over again during mating season. Scientists have discovered their skulls have shock-absorbing structures, natural biological helmets that let them survive collisions that would destroy other animals. Predators know that once the horns come down, it's already too late. Wolves are sometimes impaled or crushed by the charging fury of a muskox, their ribs shattered beneath thousands of pounds of pressure. Even polar bears think twice before attacking a herd. One wrong move, one misjudged lunge, and they're met with a horn to the chest or a skull-shattering counterblow. But what makes the muskox especially dangerous is its unpredictability. While fiercely defensive in groups, a lone muskox can become explosively aggressive, charging perceived threats with terrifying speed. Hikers, researchers, even snowmobiles have been rammed, flipped, or gored by these Arctic titans. And yet, this beast isn't just built for brute force. It thrives in one of the most hostile environments on the planet, enduring blizzards, starvation, and predators that would tear lesser animals apart. Every part of the muskox is designed for survival. Every muscle, every horn, every decision is honed by the cruel reality of the frozen north. The muskox doesn't just defend its own, it devastates anything foolish enough to cross its path. It is a living wall of ancient power, a woolly battering ram that has outlasted saber-tooths, ice ages, and extinction itself. Across the wide-open plains of North America, where the horizon stretches endlessly and the grass whispers ancient stories, there roams a creature with the weight of the continent in its bones. The bison, not just the largest land animal in North America, but a living force of nature, forged in the fires of survival and war. It stands over 6 feet at the shoulder and can weigh up to 2,000 pounds, with a silhouette that looks like a moving mountain. Covered in shaggy armor and powered by pure muscle, the bison may seem calm, almost sluggish, as it grazes beneath the sky. But beneath that heavy frame lies a coiled spring of fury, one that can explode without warning. Its dense, curved horns may not be the longest on this list, but they are brutal in their purpose. Designed to hook, gore, and crush, they can rip open a predator or flip a grown man into the air like a rag doll. And it's not rare. Every year, bison send unlucky tourists flying after just one misstep, because while they might seem docile from a distance, bison are among the most dangerously unpredictable animals in the wild. And when they charge, oh, they charge, up to 35 miles per hour, straight at their target with hooves thundering like distant war drums. There's no winding up, no warning snort, just the sudden, terrifying realization that a 1-ton juggernaut is coming for you. And it's not stopping. Even apex predators like wolves and grizzly bears think twice before going after a healthy adult. The risk is too high. A single strike from those horns or a well-placed kick from those massive legs can snap spines, puncture organs, and turn a hunt into a funeral. Even when a predator manages to bring one down, it often pays a heavy price in blood. But perhaps the most haunting display of the bison's raw power is the stampede. When a herd moves in panic or defense, it becomes a living wall of fury. Thousands of hooves pounding the earth, horns sweeping forward like a rolling tide of destruction. Trees crack, earth trembles, and anything in the way is either flattened or forgotten. The bison isn't the most aggressive animal on this list, but its combination of mass, momentum, and fury make it one of the most dangerous. It doesn't chase down prey. It doesn't stalk the shadows. But if it decides you're a threat, you don't get a second chance. It will collide with you like a freight train from the Stone Age, and you'll never see it coming. This is the beast that once thundered in herds millions strong, that defied extinction and rose from near oblivion. The bison is more than just a survivor. It's a symbol of power, unpredictability, and raw, primal dominance. And it earns its place here not because it kills often, but because when it does so with terrifying finality. In the heart of Africa, where the savanna simmers under a brutal sun, and lions patrol the tall grass with blood on their breath, there's one creature even the king of beasts approaches with fear. A creature with no warning signs, no bluffs, and no mercy. They call it the Black Death, and it wears that name with pride. This is the Cape buffalo, a tank in animal form, and one of the most dangerous horned beasts to ever walk the earth. Weighing in at up to 2,000 pounds and standing over 5.5 feet at the shoulder, the Cape buffalo looks like a walking fortress. Its broad, muscular frame is built for war, and atop its head sits a pair of horns fused at the base, forming what's known as a boss, a helmet of solid bone, like nature's own battering ram. These horns sweep outward and then curve up into sharp hooks, capable of gutting a lion, impaling a hyena, or flipping a land cruiser if it feels threatened. But what truly makes the Cape buffalo so feared isn't just its weaponry, it's the mentality. This animal is aggressive, unpredictable, and utterly unforgiving. It doesn't flee from predators, it fights back, hard. Wounded buffaloes are notorious for circling back and ambushing hunters, stalking them through the brush with a terrifying kind of cold-blooded calculation. It's one of the few animals known to hold a grudge, And when it charges, there's no roar, no dramatic posturing, just the sudden explosion of motion, and then impact. And the charge? It's a 30-mile-per-hour wall of muscle and bone, led by sharpened horns and powered by rage. Lions have been gored, trampled, tossed into the air like paper. Even entire prides tread carefully around a single adult buffalo. One mistake, and a predator ends up with a horn through the lung. Or worse, crushed beneath half a ton of furious momentum. In a herd, the danger only multiplies. When Cape buffalo band together, they become an army, a tactical, coordinated force capable of mob justice. They've been seen rescuing one another from lions, stampeding back to drive predators off with terrifying precision. A lion may take down one buffalo, but it might be the last thing it ever does. And this isn't some reclusive forest dweller. Cape buffalo roam open terrain, near rivers and watering holes, where conflict is inevitable. They don't back down. They don't negotiate. If they feel threatened, they charge. And more often than not, something dies. They kill more hunters in Africa than any other large animal. And they do it without warning, without hesitation, and often without leaving survivors. The Cape buffalo doesn't wear a crown. It doesn't need to. It wears scars, broken horns, dried blood. It is the storm that walks on four legs, the avenger of the wild, the creature that predators fear and hunters prey. They never meet face to face. It is, without question, one of the most terrifying horned beasts the natural world has ever created. In the golden dust of the African lowlands, where the horizon shimmers with heat and the air vibrates with the tension of unseen predators, something ancient still walks, massive, armored, and utterly unshakable. The white rhinoceros doesn't stalk its enemies. It doesn't need to. It stands its ground and dares the world to challenge it. With a frame that can reach over 5,000 pounds and stretch nearly 13 feet in length, the white rhino is not just an animal. It's a moving fortress. Its thick, gray skin folds like plated armor, capable of withstanding bites, claw swipes, and even small-caliber bullets. But its most iconic and devastating feature sits front and center. A long, forward-curving horn that can reach over 5 feet, sharpened by years of battle and wear. This isn't a passive creature. Despite its calm appearance, the white rhino is a ticking time bomb, known for its volatile temper and its low tolerance for surprise. Its eyesight may be poor, but its hearing and smell are razor-sharp, and if it catches wind of a threat, it reacts with terrifying speed. It charges at 30 miles per hour, head down, horn first. 5,000 pounds of unrelenting force barreling forward like a runaway train. And once that charge begins, nothing, absolutely nothing, is stopping it. It can knock over trees, flip vehicles, and drive that lethal horn straight into bone. There are no second chances. Not for lions, not for leopards, not for humans. Even experienced rangers have been caught off guard by the sudden, mindless fury of a rhino in full sprint. But it's not just a lone terror. Rhinos can be fiercely territorial. Males patrol their range with obsessive aggression, attacking intruders, even other rhinos, with brutal efficiency. Fights between rival bulls are explosive, ending with shattered horns, deep puncture wounds, and sometimes death. And while the white rhino doesn't hunt, it defends with the wrath of a prehistoric beast. It has no predators in adulthood, only humans dare cross it, and often even they pay the price. There are documented incidents of rhinos charging poachers and impaling them with such force that they were thrown yards through the air, their rifles splintered like sticks. The only thing more tragic than the rhino's terrifying power is its vulnerability. Its horn, the very weapon that earned it a place near the top of this list, has become its curse. Hunted mercilessly for the black market, the white rhino teeters on the edge of extinction, a living titan under siege. And yet, it still fights, still charges, still refuses to go quietly. The white rhino is primeval vengeance given form, an ancient fury wrapped in flesh and horn. You don't get a warning. You don't get forgiveness. If you cross its line, you only get the horn. and a split-second glimpse of what a natural tank with rage in its veins looks like when it hits full speed. Only one beast stands above it, and to top this titan, it has to be more than just deadly. It must be unstoppable. It's not the biggest, it's not the heaviest, but if you ask the wild, ask the hunters, ask the silence that follows a charge, it will all point to one name: the black rhinoceros. A creature not born of this age, but forged in a time when the earth bled wild and survival was a war waged every second. And even now, it moves through the world like a ghost made of thunder, feared by everything with a pulse. At first glance, it seems similar to its cousin, the white rhino, shorter, leaner, maybe even less imposing. But looks are deceiving. The black rhino is purer rage, sharper, meaner, faster, deadlier. It weighs up to 3,000 pounds, stands around 5 feet at the shoulder, and yet charges with such explosive speed and violence that it makes even apex predators freeze in place. Its signature weapon, a long, forward-curving horn that can stretch nearly 5 feet, sharpened through constant use, is not just a tool of defense. It's an instrument of devastation. One charge can rip open flesh, shatter bone, or puncture through metal panels. Poachers have been found with their insides shredded, their weapons useless in the face of a beast that attacks with the intensity of a missile strike. But what truly places the black rhino at the top of this list isn't just the horn. It's the attitude, raw, combustible hostility. Unlike the white rhino, which tends to warn, bluff, or flee, the black rhino doesn't ask questions. It charges first, every time. Its eyesight is poor, so it reacts based on sound and scent, meaning that simply existing in its space might be enough to trigger a deadly encounter. It moves at up to 35 miles per hour, a living warhead powered by centuries of evolutionary muscle. It doesn't veer. It doesn't hesitate. If you're in the way, you're already too late. Even armored vehicles have been gored, flipped, and trampled during unexpected charges. It is nature's battering ram with a hair-trigger temper. And it doesn't stop at humans. Lions, hyenas, and even elephants give it space. A mother defending her calf is a nightmare of berserk power. She won't just kill to protect, she'll annihilate. There are stories of rhinos chasing off entire prides, carving through predator lines like a blade through dry grass. This isn't a beast that fights for dominance. It fights for absolute survival. And in the blood-soaked arena of nature, that makes it king. Every scar carved into its hide is a tale of war won. Every charge is a declaration that this ancient creature still reigns, horn raised like a royal blade, daring anything, man, beast, or machine, to come closer. But what makes the black rhino's fury even more tragic is its dwindling numbers. Hunted for its horn, this unstoppable force of nature is being pushed toward oblivion. But make no mistake, this extinction won't be quiet. The black rhino will go down fighting. Horn first, eyes locked, unrelenting. It is the perfect storm of size, aggression, unpredictability, and unstoppable force. And it is, without question, the most dangerous horned animal on the planet. In a world where survival is never guaranteed and power must be worn like armor, horns are more than just ornaments. They are weapons, symbols of dominance, and keys to staying alive in the most brutal corners of the wild. From mountaintop clashes to desert stampedes, each of these horned beasts has carved its legend in blood and bone. They are not just animals. They are warriors, unyielding, untamed, unforgiving. And while we may admire them from a safe distance, deep down, we know, if we ever stood in their path, we wouldn't last a second.